Hello, and thanks for tuning in. You are listening to a special deep dive episode on Building Fortunes Radio and the Humongous Radio Network. In this deep dive review, we will focus on the education, experience, and opinions of reputable people and sources on Building Fortunes Radio. Peter Mingles hosts the original shows with distinguished special guests, or research, news, and developments. These podcasts are so good, they are published everywhere. From highly specialized sites such as MLM.news and directselling.news to the Building Fortunes Radio and Humongous Radio networks, and even on Amazon's Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Humongous.com is a corporate sponsor, and Humongous promotes each radio show, and Deep Dive is educational, motivational, and inspirational for the Building Fortunes Radio and Humongous Radio listening audience. Check out the music link and the deep dive review links as they add a unique feature worth your time and enjoyment. If you have questions or want to host a show on the Humongous Network, call or text Peter Mingles on 386-864-1928. Humongous. It's really big. Now on to our deep dive review. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Deep Dive Learner. Let me just ask you a quick question to start us off. If you have, access to literally all the world's information right in your pocket, why are you more stressed, emotionally fatigued, and just burned out than ever before?
Yeah, that is the million-dollar question right now.
It really is. I mean, think about it for a second. We have millions of productivity hacks, articles, deep dives like this one. We are swimming in data that's designed to make our lives easier and more peaceful.
Right.
Yet the collective baseline for modern life just seems to be this, constant low-grade panic.
It's the ultimate modern paradox, honestly. We've never known so much, yet we've never struggled so profoundly to just process our daily reality without our internal systems basically crashing.
Exactly.
The abundance of information, it isn't translating into an abundance of clarity or calm. Actually, it seems to be doing the exact opposite.
Which brings us right to our mission today. Okay, let's unpack this because we are exploring the profound answer to that exact paradox. Today's deep dive focuses on the work of Edie-raether.
Oh, she is phenomenal. A true pioneer.
Totally. She's a behavioral neuroscience strategist and just a massive authority on human performance. And we are going to be digging into her groundbreaking methodology, which is called the 3-second Neuroshift.
Right, which is also the core of her upcoming book, The 3-Second Neuroshift. Rewrite your brain in micro moments to rewrite your destiny.
Such a great title. We've got her biographical blueprints, project overviews, promotional materials for her masterclass. And the goal is to discover how interrupting automatic thinking can fundamentally rewire your brain's physical structure.
But before we explore the mechanics of her solution, we really need to accurately diagnose the disease here.
Right. What's actually going wrong?
Exactly. And Edie's work points out something crucial. Our collective burnout, it's not a lack of intelligence.
Thankfully.
Right. It is not an information deficit. Organizations, leaders, everyday people, we aren't failing because we aren't smart enough. We're suffering from the escalating cost of automatic thinking.
Let's unpack that term, automatic thinking. Because, on the surface, having a brain that runs on autopilot sounds pretty efficient. I don't want to relearn how to tie my shoes or drive my car every single morning.
Sure, yeah, you'd be exhausted by 9 a.m.
Exactly. But Edie is pointing out a much darker side to this operating system. I kind of think of it like a smartphone that's just aggressively auto-correcting to the wrong words.
Oh, that's a brilliant analogy, because the brain is fundamentally, at its core, an energy-saving device.
Right.
It consumes a massive amount of caloric energy to engage in deep analytical thought. So to conserve energy, the brain relies on these deeply grooved neural pathways, habits, reactions, assumptions.
So when we flood it with endless demands and emails and chronic stress,
it becomes completely overwhelmed. To survive that cognitive overload, it defaults heavily to its reactive state. And Edie outlines these stark contrasts defining modern life right now because of this overload.
What kind of contrasts?
Well, she notes that burnout is replacing resilience. Stress is replacing strategy.
Wow. Stress is replacing strategy. That hits incredibly hard.
It does, doesn't it? Because reaction is replacing innovation and emotional fatigue is replacing actual engagement.
When you're overwhelmed, you aren't planning for the next 5 years. You're just trying to survive the next 5 minutes.
Exactly.
But wait, here's my biological question. If information has never been more abundant, Why is clear thinking becoming so rare? Does having too much information actually make our autopilot worse?
Well, it comes down to how the brain prioritizes signals under pressure.
Okay.
Think about it. You can read 100 books on stress management, right? But the moment your boss sends you one of those passive-aggressive emails...
Oh, I hate those. My heart rate just spikes immediately.
Right, and your brain completely bypasses all that book knowledge and goes straight to panic or anger.
Yeah.
Because when you read that email, your amygdala, which is the brain's threat detection center, it just registers danger.
It doesn't care about the self-help podcast I listened to yesterday.
Not at all. It instantly floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline. And that chemical wash physically inhibits your prefrontal cortex.
And that's the logical part of the brain, right?
Yes, the strategic information processing part. So information alone cannot change behavior because in moments of high stress, the part of your brain that accesses that information is essentially powered down.
Wow. So you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your deepest neural pathways.
Exactly. Which means we don't need another productivity app or another data point. We need a completely new approach to how we process reality.
We have to fix the physical wiring itself.
Precisely.
So if more information isn't the cure for this broken autopilot, who has the expertise to actually open up the hood and rewire the system? Because that sounds complicated.
Well, this is where Edie-raether's background becomes so important. She is uniquely suited for this exact intervention. She brings over 5 decades, yes, 50 years of multidisciplinary experience studying human behavior.
50 years. That's incredible. And just looking at her resume in these sources, it is wild. She hasn't just been confined to a laboratory studying theory.
No, not at all.
She's been an occupational therapist, a college professor, a marriage and family counselor, a psychotherapist.
A behavioral specialist?
Right. And then she pivots. She takes all of that clinical and educational experience and becomes an executive coach, a corporate consultant, an ABC television talk show host,
a TEDx speaker, and a best-selling author of 8 books.
It's like she's lived 10 different lives. Oh, and she holds the Certified Speaking Professional designation, which is the highest earned designation from the National Speakers Association.
It really is an unparalleled background. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that eclectic combination is the key. She views human behavior through almost every conceivable lens.
Right, so she sees all angles of the problem.
Exactly. From a clinical perspective as a psychotherapist, she understands deep-rooted trauma and emotional blocks. But from an educational perspective, she understands how the adult brain actually absorbs complex concepts.
And then, as an occupational therapist, I imagine she gets the link between our physical bodies, our environment, and our habits.
We hit the nail on the head. She bridges complex behavioral neuroscience with the highly practical art of living well. And she spent a lifetime constantly asking one singular question: what creates lasting human transformation?
So she's taking 5 decades of clinical, corporate, and personal experience and distilling it down to one ultimate mechanism for change.
Yes.
And that brings us to the core of her new book and the framework she calls the 3-second Neuroshift. Let's decode this. What exactly is the shift?
The methodology centers on mastering the 3 seconds before your next thought.
Before the thought.
Right. It's designed to interrupt reactive thinking. The goal is to hit a reset on those dopamine-driven automatic patterns so you can become, and this is her trademark phrase, the boss of your brain.
The boss of your brain. I like that.
It shifts you from being a passenger in your own neurochemistry to being the actual driver.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, but I have to play the skeptic for a second on behalf of the learner. I have to push back.
Go for it.
3 seconds sounds suspiciously easy, like almost TikTok life hack easy. Are you telling me I can fix a decade of chronic stress or decision fatigue or even addiction in the literal time it takes to take one single breath? 1, 2, 3, boom. My trauma's gone.
Yeah, no, that is the natural skepticism everyone brings to this concept. And it's totally fair, but it stems from a misunderstanding of what those 3 seconds actually represent biologically.
Okay, set me straight.
The transformation is not completed in 3 seconds. It is initiated there.
Initiated.
Right. Edie's framework is built around this profound realization, quoting from the text here. The most powerful moment in every human life is the one between what happens and what happens next.
Oh, wow. The gap between the stimulus and the response.
Exactly, the gap. Let's return to the biology of that passive-aggressive email you mentioned earlier.
My favorite example.
When the stimulus hits, your amygdala reacts in milliseconds. It sends the signal to panic or lash out. But human beings possess this unique neurological buffer. It actually takes a few seconds for the executive function in your prefrontal cortex to boot up and evaluate if that threat is actually life or death.
So the 3-second neuroshift is about intercepting that automatic dopamine-driven signal before it solidifies into an automatic behavior.
You've got it.
Okay, tell me if this makes sense. It's like pressing the clutch in a manual transmission car.
Oh, I love that. Let's run with that.
Because if you just try to jam the gear shift into a new position while the engine is still revving, you're going to grind the transmission to pieces.
You'll ruin the car.
Right. But pressing the clutch temporarily disconnects the engine from the wheels. It doesn't instantly teleport you to your destination, but it removes the tension so you can safely, smoothly shift into the right gear.
That is the perfect mechanical translation of what is happening neurologically. When you master that 3-second pause, you are engaging the cognitive clutch.
The cognitive clutch.
Yes. You're stopping the momentum of the automatic reaction. You give your executive function time to come online and choose a strategic response instead of a reactive one. You basically stop the flood of cortisol before it completely hijacks your behavior.
And when you do that consistently, like intercepting that signal over and over, you aren't just managing stress in the moment, right? You're actually participating in neuroplasticity.
Exactly. There is that famous neuroscience phrase, neurons that fire together wire together.
Right. So every time you automatically scream at traffic, you're basically thickening the neural pathway for road rage.
You're reinforcing the habit biologically. But by using the 3-second clutch, you are denying that toxic pathway the electricity it needs to survive.
So over time, that old pathway physically weakens, and a new, calmer default response is built.
Precisely. The 3 seconds is the trigger point for lifelong structural change in the brain. And this is where Edie's fundamental philosophy really becomes actionable.
How so?
Well, she believes people do not change just by receiving more information.
Which goes back to our modern paradox.
Right. They change when they discover how to transform what they already know into how they actually live, how they lead, and how they heal. Knowledge without applied behavioral change is really just trivia.
Just trivia. That's a powerful way to put it.
Right.
Which is why this methodology isn't just a book, right? It's being deployed far beyond the pages to solve real-world crises in leadership and healthcare and personal development.
Absolutely. Edie has structured this as a massive practical intervention. For instance, for anyone listening who wants to actively rebuild those neural pathways, she has this incredible 12-module transformational journey.
The masterclass, right?
Yes, the 3-second Neuroshift masterclass. And the reason it's 12 modules is because you need to take the sustained time required to actually practice neuroplasticity.
Right, you can't just read about the clutch, you have to drive the car.
Exactly. You have to interrupt those old patterns, reset your brain, and step into the person you are meant to be.
That's amazing. And she's got a huge platform for this now, too. I mean, her footprint is massive.
It really is. A great entry point to hear these concepts applied to everyday life is the Edie-raether-radio-show.
Oh, I've seen that in the notes. That's the one she hosts on the Building Fortunes radio network, right?
Yeah, with Peter Mingles. The reach of that show is just incredible. It's a real testament to how badly people want a solution to this cognitive overload.
Definitely. And you can find the episodes introducing the 3-second Neuroshift basically everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, the Humongous Radio Network, basically wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Awesome. But you know what really struck me in the source material? The messaging behind her media appearances and speaking engagement.
Oh, the pitch document.
Yeah. When organizations book her, they are presented with a premise titled, "Why the World Needs the 3-Second Neuroshift." All caps.
It's intense.
It is. It reads less like a standard speaker bio and more like the pitch for an urgent global movement. It focuses entirely on the structural problem the world is facing and why throwing more data at exhausted people is just failing miserably.
Well, there is a specific concept in her methodology that Peter Mingles highlights when he sends out her info. It's described as the $1 million sentence.
The $1 million sentence. Lay it on me.
It encapsulates the core value proposition of her entire life's work. It states, Edie-raether doesn't simply speak about the brain. She equips people with the practical neuroscience to think better under pressure, lead with greater clarity, perform at their highest level, and transform the moments that ultimately define their lives.
Man, That highlights the critical difference between theory and utility.
Exactly.
Because Fortune 50 companies and massive healthcare systems, they aren't dropping big money on biology lectures.
No, they are investing in a methodology that stops decision fatigue and emotional reactivity in high-stakes environments. They are literally purchasing the ability to think better under pressure.
And let's translate that directly to you, the learner, listening right now, because this isn't just for Fortune 50 executives making million-dollar trades.
No, the human brain is the human brain, regardless of your tax bracket or your job title.
Right. Whether you are an entrepreneur trying to, push through the fear of failure, or a healthcare professional facing intense daily burnout, or honestly, simply someone trying to improve your relationship with your family without snapping at them after a long day, this methodology is built for you.
Because the exact same automatic thinking that derails a corporate merger is the automatic thinking that ruins a family dinner.
That is so true. It's the same biological hardware running the same faulty software.
Exactly. We all experience that surge of adrenaline, the desire to react defensively, and then the regret that follows when we let our autopilot dictate our behavior.
It always ends in regret. So just to summarize where we've been on this journey today, we started this deep dive talking about the modern condition, that feeling of being an overtaxed computer, completely overloaded with information, paralyzed, and just running a broken autopilot.
And we established that more information is not the cure, because the underlying issue is how our brain biologically processes the ambient stress of the modern world.
Right. But then, through Edie-raether's 50 years of clinical and corporate research, we uncovered the biological loophole.
The 3-second clutch.
The 3-second clutch. The realization that you are not a permanent prisoner to your past or your stressful circumstances, or even your own automatic thoughts. By mastering the gap between stimulus and response, you allow your executive function to take the wheel.
You can literally rewrite the physical structure of your brain in micro moments.
It is the ultimate shift from being reactive to being responsive. So if you want to master that shift, definitely check out the Edie-raether-radio-show with Peter Mingles on the Building Fortunes Radio Network.
Or find her across Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, the Humongous Radio Network.
Yeah, dive into the 12-module masterclass. Take the time to actually rebuild your hardware.
I think I'll leave you with this final thought to consider today, learner. If Edie's conclusion is biologically true, if every courageous decision, every healed relationship, every inspired leader, and every true breakthrough in human history really begins in that tiny 3-second window,
then think about the next time you feel that sudden, familiar surge of stress, frustration, or fear today. When your amygdala fires, your internal computer fan starts screaming, and your brain tries to autocorrect to panic. What exactly are you going to do with your 3 seconds?
Wow, thanks for tuning in. That was a really great deep dive. You just finished listening in to a special deep dive episode on Building Fortunes Radio and the Humongous Radio Networks. We hope you enjoyed it, learned a lot, and will share this with others important to you. In this deep dive review, we focused on the education, experience, and opinions of reputable people and sources on Building Fortunes Radio. Peter Mingles hosts the original shows with distinguished special guests, news, and developments. These podcasts are so good they are published everywhere, from highly specialized sites such as MLM.news and directselling.news to the Building Fortunes Radio and Humongous Radio Networks, and also on Amazon Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We hope you share them with others so you can make a difference in their world. Our corporate sponsor is humongous.com. Now you know why Humongous promotes that each radio show and deep dive is educational, motivational, and inspirational for the Building Fortunes radio listening audience. If you like these deep dives, make sure you check out the music link and the deep dive review links, as they add a unique feature worth your time. If you have questions or want to host a show on the Humongous Network, call or text Peter Mingles on 3868-641928. Humongous. It's really big. Peter Mingles and I want to thank you for listening in to the deep dive. We wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work towards. Now, go make your world a better place.